That night is etched in my mind, more vivid than the events of yesterday. In the silence of the house, it was only my twin sister, Lena, and I left to navigate the world without our parents. Yet, what she did next broke the fragile boundary that separated the mundane from the extraordinary. The night unfolded as it always did, sinking into a familiar cadence that comes from a lifetime of shared moments with another soul. The evening had swallowed our parents whole, leaving the house steeped in an unusual stillness, punctuated only by the soft hum of the refrigerator and the gentle creak of aged wood beneath our feet, which seemed to whisper secrets of the night. This was not the first occasion that Lena and I found ourselves alone. We had become familiar with it, transforming these evenings into our own private realm where time appeared to elongate as if challenging us to occupy it fully. I was just a few minutes older than Lena, and despite our differing genders, we resembled each other like twins. As I lounged on the couch, my fingers danced across the screen of my phone, yet my mind wandered far from its glow. Lena lounged across from me, her familiar posture taking shape as one arm rested casually over the backrest. Her gaze danced between the flickering screen and the depths of her own musings. Her presence was as ingrained in me as the very act of breathing, yet this evening there was an unmistakable shift in the air around her. The atmosphere thickened as though the very walls were inclining toward me, eavesdropping. The refrigerator's hum intensified in the stillness, each creak of the floorboards resonating like a drumbeat beneath my skin. "Shall we indulge in a cinematic experience?" Lena inquired abruptly, her voice cutting through the heavy silence. She tilted her head in my direction, and for an instant her deep, dark eyes locked onto mine, rendering me momentarily speechless. I nonchalantly shrugged, maintaining an air of composure. "Anything you desire." "Helpful?" she remarked, a smirk playing on her lips. She seized the remote, navigating through the options with a measured slowness designed to challenge my patience. A smile crept onto my face as I watched her dramatic display. "If this is going to take a while, I think I'll opt for a romantic comedy." "Not a chance," she retorted, laughter dancing in her voice. With Lena, it was effortless, the playful exchanges, the seamless way we navigated through each other's worlds as if we were two halves of a single entity. Yet, amidst the laughter that enveloped the room, an undercurrent of something else lingered, subtle yet unmistakable, a tension brewing like a tempest on the horizon. In the end, she settled on a film we had both watched countless times, the sort that requires no focus as the lines are forever imprinted in our minds. We nestled into the serene embrace of the moment, the gentle illumination of the screen painting delicate shadows upon the walls, yet my attention drifted far from the film. My thoughts wandered, captivated by her presence in a manner that was at once comforting and disquieting. From the periphery of my vision, I noticed her fleeting glance in my direction. It was swift, nearly undetectable, yet it stirred a wave of consciousness within me. Lena had always been fearless, the one to voice her thoughts without a second thought, yet this evening I sensed a hesitation in her that echoed my own uncertainty. It was in the subtle shift of her weight, the way her hand drifted absent-mindedly along the edge of the couch as though she were gauging the space that lay between us. "What is this?" I finally broke the silence, unable to endure it any longer. She shook her head, a subtle smile gracing her lips, yet her eyes whispered of hidden truths. "Nothing," she replied, her words tumbling out in haste. "Deceiver, perhaps there is something," she conceded, leaning in closer, her elbows propped on her knees. The glow of the screen danced upon her features, accentuating the defined contours that echoed my own. "Have you ever pondered the peculiar nature of being twins?" "What do you mean by weird?" "People often assume we're identical, don't they? Indeed, I am a boy and you are a girl, yet we share the same face, the same thoughts, the same essence of being. Yet we find ourselves not truly so." I nodded, her words awakening a profound resonance inside me. Lena and I had perpetually existed as a singular entity, often viewed as interchangeable by those around us, yet she was undeniably correct. We had changed irrevocably. Lena was the audacious spirit, the one who plunged boldly into the fray of existence while I lingered in the shadows, satisfied to watch. In these fleeting moments, when her defenses slipped away, I glimpsed facets of her that resonated with my own, a subtle vulnerability she seldom revealed to others. My thoughts intertwined, each one tugging me toward a different path. Was it mere curiosity, a twinge of fear, or something more profound lurking beneath the surface? Her gaze pierced through me, challenging me to confront the unspoken inquiries that lingered in the shadows of my mind. "Text. I suppose it's simply more convenient for others to group us all as one," I remarked, my tone softer than I had meant it to be. "We haven't exactly demonstrated anything different to them." Her gaze held me captive, and I sensed its gravity in the air that separated us. Perhaps we ought to consider it. Her words were uncomplicated, yet the manner in which she delivered them sent my heart racing. Before I could utter a word, she reclined once more, her relaxed demeanor masking the tautness I sensed weaving through the atmosphere. I glanced back at the screen, feigning interest, yet my thoughts were in turmoil, trapped between the comfort of the scene and the strange allure that appeared to bring us nearer. The minutes dragged, and the silence enveloping us thickened, burdened with the weight of unexpressed thoughts. Words eluded me, and I questioned whether there was anything worth expressing. Yet, true to form, Lena discovered a path to penetrate the silence. "You're quiet tonight," she remarked, her voice taking on a softer, almost hesitant quality. "What thoughts are swirling in that contemplative mind of yours?" Nothing, I deceived, for the reality lay ensnared in a labyrinth of feelings I was not prepared to confront. "Merely fatigued." She refrained from pressing further, yet her gaze delved into mine as though she possessed the ability to unearth the thoughts I sought to conceal. For a fleeting instant I believed she would confront me about it, yet instead she moved away. She moved closer, her knee grazing mine with an unmistakable intention. The contact surged through me like electricity, and I fought to maintain my poise. "Of course, it's nothing," she inquired, her tone now buoyant and playful, yet there lingered an undertone, a challenge that sent my heart racing. I managed to smile, letting my shoulders rise in a casual shrug. "Absolutely, of course." The tension between us hung thick in the air, a silent current that neither of us dared to acknowledge. Yet it was unmistakable, evident in the way her gaze lingered and how the atmosphere crackled with an unspoken energy that we both felt but could not articulate. As the night deepened, the space that separated us appeared to diminish. Lena's laughter danced through the air, wrapping around me like a warm embrace, yet beneath the surface an unvoiced tension lingered, poised and expectant. In the stillness, a revelation dawned upon me. This was no ordinary night. A change was unfolding between us, and retreat was no longer an option. Lena had always been the one to break the silence, her laughter and tales echoing in the air, but tonight her familiar confidence seemed dimmed, overshadowed by an unidentifiable weight. Each instant our knees touched sent a shiver through me, and her gaze, lingering just a heartbeat longer than necessary, ignited a spark of something unspoken. The tension was not the sort that gnawed at the edges of discomfort. Rather, it was a different kind altogether. One that coursed through me with an exhilarating thrill I was reluctant to acknowledge. "Have you ever pondered the notion of our existence had we not been twins?" "What?" she inquired abruptly, jolting me from my reverie. My eyes widened in astonishment as I processed her unexpected inquiry. "Could you clarify what you mean?" She let out a small shrug, reclining against the couch with a casual air. "I'm uncertain. Perhaps if we weren't, the atmosphere would shift in some way." It was an odd statement, yet it lingered in the space between us, weighty and unarticulated. I felt compelled to inquire about her meaning, yet I paused, detecting a wavering in her voice, as though she herself grappled with the answer. "It seems difficult to envision," I finally remarked. "We have eternally been ourselves." "Indeed," she whispered, her gaze meeting mine for a fleeting moment before it quickly shifted elsewhere. "Forever." The term bore a significance I struggled to decipher, yet before I could linger on it, she propelled herself off the couch. "Would you care for a drink?" "I am taking one." "Of course," I replied, my voice emerging softer than I had meant it to be. I observed her fade into the kitchen, my mind whirling as I grappled with the peculiar change that had unfolded between us. Lena had always been my counterpart, the one who understood me more deeply than anyone else. Yet tonight, it seemed as though we were poised on the brink of an unfamiliar horizon, an experience neither of us could entirely comprehend. Upon her return, she offered me a glass of water, her fingers grazing mine for a fleeting moment that lingered just a heartbeat too long. She nestled in closer this time, her thigh brushing against mine as she sank back into the couch. It was a seemingly insignificant detail, yet it sent my heart racing in a manner I could not overlook. "Do you ever ponder why we avoid discussing the important things?" she inquired, her tone soft and reflective. A frown creased my brow. "Could you clarify what you mean? It seems we share a certain closeness, don't you think? We share a bond deeper than many, yet there remain unspoken things between us." "Everyone carries unspoken burdens," I remarked, though the words seemed to echo emptily as they slipped from my lips. She faced me, her gaze probing into mine with a fervor that left me feeling vulnerable. "Yet we are not like the rest, Alex. We are one and the same." The words resonated within me, causing my breath to hitch in my throat. She was right, we were unlike the majority. We had always shared a bond that transcended the ordinary, a mutual understanding that eluded others. Yet there remained unspoken truths, delicate matters we hesitated to articulate. I suppose I faltered, uncertain of how to conclude my thought. "You guess?" she repeated, a subtle smile playing at the corner of her lips. "Is that truly your response?" I let out a sigh, attempting to divert the conversation. "What is it that you wish for me to express?" "Something genuine," she remarked with a quiet intensity, her tone now more tender. Uncertainty gripped me, leaving me at a loss for words. The intensity of her stare bore down on me, compelling me to look elsewhere, my eyes fixated on the television, though my mind wandered far from its flickering images. Lena remained close, neither pushing me nor retreating. The gentle heat of her leg pressed against mine served as an unyielding reminder of our proximity, a palpable force that made it impossible to overlook the enigmatic connection binding us together. The silence lingered, dense and oppressive, until she shattered it once more. "Have you ever contemplated our relationship from a different perspective?" Her words made my heart race, and I turned to her, scanning her face for any clue as to what she truly meant. Yet her expression remained inscrutable, her gaze fixed on mine as though challenging me to respond. "I don't understand what you're saying," I replied, my voice trembling just a bit. "Indeed, you do," she remarked, her voice soft yet resolute. "It seems to me that you've contemplated this matter, even if you hesitate to acknowledge it." The atmosphere surrounding us crackled with intensity, infused with a tension that had simmered for years, now finally breaking free into the open. I longed to reject it, to dismiss her words as inconsequential, yet I found myself unable to do so. Each glance, each touch, every silent exchange between us whispered a narrative that contradicted my denial. "What if I possess?" I inquired at last, my voice scarcely rising above a whisper. Her eyes grew a fraction wider, and in that moment she mirrored the uncertainty that churned within me. Yet her demeanor shifted, and she drew closer, allowing me to sense the warmth of her breath on my skin. "Perhaps I am not alone in this." The words lingered in the space that separated us, and a torrent of emotions surged within me: fear, excitement, confusion, each intertwining in a manner that rendered me utterly breathless. Lena remained still, her silence unbroken. Yet the fervor in her eyes conveyed a message of anticipation, allowing me the freedom to choose. I gulped, my heart racing within my chest. Uncertainty enveloped me. I was oblivious to the implications, unaware of the potential shifts ahead. Yet, as Lena stood near, her words heavy in the air, a profound clarity washed over me. I simply didn't care. As I lingered in that moment, the heaviness of the night resting upon me, it dawned on me that certain questions remained forever unanswered. Perhaps, just perhaps, that was the very essence that rendered them utterly unmissable. Lena remained still, her gaze fixed on me, unyielding, her face a mask of inscrutability yet brimming with a profound intensity that held me captive. Every fiber of my being urged me to voice my thoughts, to take action, yet I found myself ensnared in a web of fear, caught in the magnetic allure she exuded. "Alex," she murmured, the name cascading from her lips like a whispered secret intended solely for my ears. "Feel free to share your thoughts with me. You have always possessed that ability." The words themselves were not the only thing that struck him. It was the manner in which she delivered them, soft, tender, stripped of her typical playful sharpness. Lena laid bare her soul, her vulnerability washing over me like a tide, sending a shiver through my being that was as terrifying as it was thrilling. "I understand," I whispered, my voice feeling strange and distant to my own ears. "It's simply intricate." "Complicated doesn't mean bad," she replied, leaning back slightly, though the air between us remained electric. "At times, it simply signifies that it deserves our exploration." The intensity of her gaze, unwavering and resolute, sent my heart into a wild flutter. Her gaze pierced through every barrier I had ever constructed, and for the first time, I felt no desire to conceal myself. A sense of foreboding lingered in the air, and my instincts proved correct. Unbeknownst to me, I found myself leaning closer to her, our knees grazing once more, yet this time it carried a purpose. Lena remained close, tilting her head ever so slightly, her gaze probing mine for any hint of uncertainty. "What are we embarking on, Lena?" I inquired, my voice barely rising above a whisper. "I don't know," she admitted, a subtle smile playing at the corners of her lips. "Yet it hardly seems amiss, does it?" I felt the urge to reject it, to insist that we should halt, that this was a boundary we ought not to breach, yet the reality loomed before me, irrefutable. It didn't seem amiss, rather, it felt like the apex of a journey that had been unfolding for years, poised for this moment to finally be recognized. "No," I finally uttered, the word a confession, a surrender. That was all it required. Lena took the initiative, bridging the gap between us until the warmth of her breath brushed against my skin. My heart raced, thoughts swirling in a tumultuous blend of excitement and dread, yet when her lips touched mine, the clamor in my mind dissipated, leaving solely the exquisite feeling of her presence. The kiss began hesitantly as though we were cautiously exploring the limits of this uncharted realm. Her hand traced a path to my jaw, fingers gliding over my skin, igniting a cascade of shivers that danced along my spine. I never imagined that I would be unable to do so. I found myself lost in the moment as I kissed her back. It turned out to be neither awkward nor strange, contrary to my fears. It felt instinctive, as if this was the destination we were destined to reach all along. Lena's touch intensified, her lips pressing more firmly against mine while her other hand found its way to the back of my neck, drawing me nearer. An involuntary sigh escaped my lips, and she smiled, her confidence shining through in that moment. As we finally separated, my chest rose and fell with quick, shallow breaths, my mind still spinning in a whirlwind of thoughts. Lena remained close, her forehead gently pressed against mine, while her fingers wove themselves into my hair. Her gaze delved into mine, a whisper of doubt dancing in the shadows of her irises. "Are you all right?" she inquired, her tone soft yet unwavering. I nodded, yet the weight of what had just transpired was only starting to settle within me. Indeed, I believed that to be the case. She let out a gentle laugh, her thumb gliding over my jawline. "Do you believe that?" I find myself at a loss for words, I confessed, my voice quivering ever so slightly. "Yet I hold no regrets." "Good," she said, her smile sincere, expanding into a warmth that resonated deeply. I find myself in the same position. Her words enveloped me, anchoring my thoughts in a manner I had not anticipated. This was Lena, my twin, my other half, and yet in this moment, she seemed to embody something deeper, a presence that had captivated me without my conscious awareness. After that, our words dwindled, and the silence that enveloped us transformed from tension to a profound understanding. Yet we were acutely aware that this was far from the end. An unspoken anticipation lingered in the air, hinting at what was yet to unfold. Lena's arm wrapped around my shoulders, drawing me closer as we settled into the embrace of the couch. I leaned my head against her chest, attuned to the steady cadence of her heartbeat, and for the first time in what seemed like an eternity, everything felt as it should. "Do you believe this alters the entire landscape?" I inquired at last, my voice scarcely rising above a whisper. Lena tilted her head, her eyes locking onto mine with an intensity that sent a flutter through my chest. "Must it truly be so?" I paused, her question echoing in my thoughts. "I'm uncertain. Perhaps it has already occurred." She nodded slowly, her fingers wandering gently over my arm, the touch calming, a silent comfort amidst the uncertainty. "Perhaps that's not such a terrible notion," she remarked after a brief silence, her tone infused with an unexpected flicker of hope. It was a seemingly straightforward remark, yet it bore the profound significance of all the unspoken truths lingering between us. In all honesty, I found myself at a loss regarding what this signified for us. I couldn't ascertain whether we could maintain this elusive connection, whatever it might be, confined within the boundaries of our sanctuary. Yet Lena's unwavering confidence and her serene assurance grounded me in a manner that defied explanation. "What unfolds when someone discovers the truth?" I inquired, the words slipping out before I could rein them in. Her brow furrowed and her fingers paused against my skin. "It remains a secret between us, Alex. This belongs to us. Only one voice matters in this matter." Her words awakened a profound sensation within me, a blend of relief and trepidation. I yearned to place my faith in her, to hold on to the hope that this moment could remain unblemished by external forces. Yet uncertainty hovered like a specter at the periphery of my mind. Lena seemed to perceive my uncertainty, for she adjusted her position, her hand gently cradling my cheek. "Hey," she murmured gently, her thumb gliding over my skin. "There's no need to unravel everything at this very moment. Let's take it one step at a time, shall we?" I nodded, her touch anchoring me once again. Lena had always been the one to plunge into the depths, fearless of the unknown that awaited her. I admired that quality in her, her capacity to welcome the unknown with open arms, and for the first time, I discovered myself leaning into that aspect of her, placing my trust in her to navigate the murky waters of uncertainty. The rhythmic ticking of the clock in the corner drew me back to the present, a subtle reminder of the world beyond our small sanctuary. I propped myself up a bit, casting my gaze toward the window where the night sky unfolded infinitely, stars twinkling softly in the vast expanse of darkness. "We should probably head to bed," I said, though my voice betrayed a hint of uncertainty. Perhaps, Lena conceded, yet she showed no intention of releasing me. Her hand lingered on my arm, the warmth of her touch anchoring me to the moment. With a sense of hesitation, we extricated ourselves from the embrace of the couch, the lingering warmth of her presence creating a subtle ache in its wake. The house lay in an unsettling silence as we ascended the staircase, the subtle groan of the wooden steps the sole interruption to the tranquility. Lena moved slightly ahead, her presence a constant source of comfort amidst the shadows. As we approached the threshold of my bedroom, a moment of hesitation washed over me, my hand lingering just above the doorknob. Lena halted mere inches from me, her proximity igniting a shiver that danced along my spine. "Are you all right?" she inquired, her tone gentle yet unwavering. I nodded, yet the unspoken truth within me conveyed a contrasting tale. Indeed, I wish for this moment to linger on forever. Her hand sought mine, a grip both strong and tender. "It need not be so." The gravity of her words enveloped me, a subtle assurance that softened the tightness in my heart. I swung the door ajar, entering the space as Lena trailed closely behind me. The room seemed to shrink in her presence, the atmosphere thick with an unarticulated tension that sent shivers across my skin. Without a hint of hesitation, she drew back the covers and nestled onto my bed, her actions flowing with an ease that suggested this had been a ritual all along. For a fleeting moment, I paused, my thoughts swirling like a tempest, yet the image of her, serene and unfazed, quelled the chaos within me. "Come on," she urged, her hand gently tapping the vacant spot next to her. "It is merely I." Her words bore a gravity that constricted my throat. It was not merely an encounter, it was Lena, my other half, the singular soul who understood me more profoundly than I understood myself. Yet, in that instant, she transformed into something beyond familiarity, a person I was beholding anew. I eased myself into bed next to her, the mattress yielding just a bit beneath our shared presence. Lena shifted onto her side, resting on one elbow, her eyes locking onto mine. The delicate luminescence of moonlight seeping through the curtains painted gentle shadows on her face, accentuating the striking contours that echoed my own. "You're overthinking again," she remarked, a subtle smile playing at the edges of her lips. "Is it possible to hold me accountable?" I inquired, my voice scarcely rising above a whisper. "No," she confessed, her demeanor easing into a gentler expression. "However, it's not a necessity. This evening is not suitable." Her hand glided to my face, her fingers caressing my jaw with a tenderness that stirred a deep ache in my chest. I remained steady, not flinching or retreating. Rather, I surrendered to her touch, allowing my eyes to close as the significance of the moment enveloped me. As her lips pressed against mine once more, there was no hesitation this time. It was purposeful, imbued with a subtle fervor that left me breathless. Her hand glided to the nape of my neck, drawing me nearer as her body melded with mine, her warmth enveloping me like a second skin. I found myself unable to contemplate the implications or anticipate what lay ahead. It simply eluded me. All I could do was immerse myself in the sensations, the way her fingers wove through my hair, the way her breath caught against my lips, the way our heartbeats synchronized in flawless harmony. Time became a haze, the outside world dissolving into oblivion as we surrendered to one another. Each caress, each hushed exhalation unfolded like an epiphany, an unveiling of a truth that had lingered in the shadows, unrecognized until now. Ultimately, all I can express is that it was an experience that engulfed me, bordering on the excruciating in its fervor, and when we finally separated, my chest rose and fell with quick, shallow breaths, my skin alive with the echoes of her caress. Lena remained close, her forehead gently pressed against mine while her fingers wove themselves into my hair. "I'm not going anywhere," she said softly, her voice unwavering even as the emotion swirled beneath the surface. I nodded, speechless, for in that moment I found myself believing her for the very first time. The dawn's gentle glow seeped through the drapes, casting a warm, golden hue throughout the space. I stirred, momentarily disoriented, until the comforting warmth of Lena's arm encircling me flooded my senses with clarity. The memory of the previous night clung to me, a delicate burden that pressed against my chest, suffocating yet intimate. Lena lay beside me, lost in slumber, her face serene in a manner I seldom witnessed. Her features, both familiar and strikingly altered in this moment, caused my heart to tighten. This was Lena, not merely my twin but a person I had observed from every perspective, every nuance, and now someone who had transcended into something greater. I remained motionless, observing her rhythmic breaths, my thoughts a tempest of unnamed emotions. A part of me yearned to quietly escape the confines of the bed, to create a space between us before the day's burdens began to loom. Yet another part, the more resolute one, found itself unable to stir. Her presence anchored me, providing a stability I couldn't quite comprehend yet yearned for deeply. As if attuned to my inner musings, Lena stirred, her eyes gently opening to connect with mine, a tenderness in her gaze that tightened my chest. She remained silent, her eyes locked onto mine, the stillness enveloping us brimming with all the unspoken words that lingered in the air. "Morning," she murmured, her voice thick with the remnants of slumber. "Morning," I replied, my voice scarcely rising above a whisper. For a fleeting instant, we stood still, the remnants of the previous night hanging in the air, dense yet oddly comforting. Lena's hand glided to my face, her thumb caressing my cheek with a tenderness that stole my breath away. "Are you all right?" she inquired, her voice tinged with worry. I nodded, yet the weight in my chest remained unyielding. "Indeed, I'm in the process of deciphering the significance of this." Her lips curled into a subtle smile. "We ceased the charade." Her words, so simple, took me by surprise. "What comes next?" Lena's expression softened, her fingers pausing gently against my skin. "Then we unravel it together." Her unwavering assurance, her serene poise, anchored me in a manner I had not anticipated. Though I lacked all the answers and questioned if I ever would, Lena's presence and her steadfast belief that everything was all right were sufficient to calm the tempest within my thoughts. The hours drifted by, each second imbued with a fresh sense of consciousness. We refrained from discussing it, at least not in clear terms. Instead, we navigated the morning's routine with a silent acknowledgement that the events that had transpired were not meant for analysis, they simply existed. It was only in the afternoon that the burdens of the outside world began to seep back in. A notification from Mom appeared on my phone, a gentle nudge that they would be home shortly. The delicate bubble we inhabited, a transient realm where time appeared to pause, was on the brink of shattering. "They'll return in a few hours," I remarked, my voice slicing through the stillness. Lena cast a fleeting look in my direction, her face a mask of inscrutability. "And I don't know," I confessed, a hint of anxiety threading through my voice. "What unfolds next?" She placed her coffee mug on the table, reclining with a serenity that masked the storm brewing within me. "There's no need for anything to shift, Alex, only if we choose to." Her words detonated like a bomb, yet the stark reality of our situation hung heavily in the air. "What if they discover the truth?" "They won't," she declared, her confidence unwavering. "This belongs to us. Only a select few are privy to this knowledge." Her words held a soothing truth, yet a lingering ache remained, burdened by the weight of our secret. It wasn't shame, rather, it was the trepidation of the unknown, the uncertainty of how we would traverse this uncharted territory with only one another as our steadfast companions. As the day unfolded, the house stirred with the vibrant sounds of our parents' arrival, their laughter, the rhythmic clatter of luggage, and their voices enveloping the space that had once belonged solely to us. The shift from the tender embrace of morning to the clamor of everyday life was striking. Lena and I fell seamlessly into our familiar patterns, the comfort of our exchanges concealing the subtle tension of our transformed circumstances. As the evening unfolded, the burden of our secret began to settle heavily upon me once more. The unsaid, the overlooked, loomed too vast to be confined within these four walls. Later that night, as the house embraced the stillness once again, I discovered Lena on the couch, her gaze directed at the television, though her stance revealed a deeper engagement. She remained focused on the ground as I drew near, yet the tension in her shoulders and the firmness of her jaw betrayed her readiness for whatever was to come. "Struggling to find rest?" I inquired, my voice barely above a whisper slicing through the stillness. "Something akin to that," she responded, her voice laden with the gravity of unexpressed musings. I settled next to her, acutely aware of the growing chasm that separated us. We lingered in silence for what felt like an eternity, the weight of unspoken words pressing down on us until Lena finally turned to me, her gaze piercing through the stillness, igniting a flutter in my chest. "Do you feel remorse for it?" she inquired, her tone barely audible amidst the silence. The inquiry took me by surprise, yet my response was immediate. "Negative. Do you truly?" Her lips curled into a subtle smile. "Not at all." The relief washed over me, dissolving the tension that had accumulated throughout the day. Lena leaned in, her fingers intertwining with mine, a delicate connection that conveyed a world of meaning. "It doesn't have to be complicated," she murmured, her fingers gently tightening around mine. We proceed with deliberate care, embracing each step as it comes. I nodded, her words anchoring me in reality. For the first time, the uncertainty transformed from a looming threat into an exhilarating adventure we would confront side by side. As the night deepened, the silence that enveloped us settled into a familiar comfort once more. Lena's arm encircled me, drawing me nearer, and I nestled against her, discovering comfort in her embrace. No matter the obstacles that awaited, one certainty resided within me.